Welcome back to Unranked Podcast here. First episode in August. You know what that means? I mean, it is officially football season. I'm excited. We're going to get into Michigan football this time around. You see G rocking the Michigan hat. He's excited. Coming off a BIG10 championship, coming off of one of the better years, we've had in a very long time. Obviously fell short in the playoff. Got a little bit of more work to do to get officially over the hill. But I do think that was a great I would say, badge of honor and kind of flag to officially get that monkey off our back, get a championship. And so I'm excited to see what they can go here. So what we're going to do now is we each have five or so players that we think will, if they are on top of their game, or if all five of these guys are on top of their game, we're looking at another Big Ten championship season, another playoff caliber type team. So I'm going to throw it over to G here first. Just want to see, who's I guess we can go down do your whole five and I can jump over to mine, or we can go side to side. I guess we didn't talk about that, but whoever your first player is, let's see.
Yeah, I think so. Let's kind of kick things off. So my fifth, as far as the top five people that are most important players for Michigan next year, my fifth is actually the entire D line. So I mean, obviously it's no secret, we're losing Ojabo and Hutch to the NFL. I think they accounted for like 24 to 25 sacks last year just by themselves. So we definitely got to find a way to, make up that production. We got Mike Morris, Braden McGregor, Jalen Harrell. I mean, all those guys, they either play on the edge, a little bit of inside, maybe playing, a little bit outside linebacker. I think Harrell plays a decent amount of like outside linebacker. Got to find a way to, get that productivity, back. We got to, find a way, any of these guys to, just be aggressive, relentless, creating that chaos in the backfield, like how Hutch and Ojabo were able to last year. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking even too. You got like Mazzie Smith, Taylor Upshaw. I believe both those guys are seniors. They need to just step up overall and just continue to dominate that line of scrimmage the same way you did last year. And yeah, I would say, I know we were only going to do five players, but my fifth is kind of like by association, because I think the D-line as a whole, I don't think we have that guy on this roster right now to just be able to, be on the edge like by himself all the time and just put up the numbers that we might need. So I think it needs to be, 4 or 5 sacks here, 4 or 5 here, maybe 6 or 7 here, and 8 from like one guy. Kind of like, teaming up and ganging up, it's kind of building that production that we're going to be missing this year.
Yeah, no, so I mean, that's a great point, because this is the first time in a very long time that we can't point to one guy and say that's the guy. Whether it was Hutchinson, Ojabo, Winovich, Gary, I mean, those are all NFL guys, all guys that are first, second rounders. And so I think, that takes you back 6-7 years right there. So, it's been at least, going on 6-7 years, almost two whole calendar, or what I'm looking for, like graduation type classes before you're looking at a player where we don't have a guy. So that's a good thing. And I'm looking forward to it. I think I am leaning and banking on, I hate to say it, but we're Michigan and we always do kind of have one of them guys on the roster that if given the playing time, they can get disruptive. They can get in the backfield. They can make some noise. And I'm hoping that it's more of a, one of these other guys can step up just due to the amount of playing time they get. Not to say that we have just Hutchinson sitting on the bench, but I know we have more than capable guys throughout the roster.
Right. Yeah. And I think one thing, too, just kind of add to that, we got Mike Elston now. He's supposed to be a pretty good, D-line coach that came from Notre Dame. So, the hope there is to, we got a shot in the arms from a coaching standpoint. We got all this talent. Like, all these guys are super talented. I was kind of reading some stuff on Twitter to where I guess Harbaugh might have said that one of the players on the team, one of the freshmen on the team, was literally like a gift from God. And just some of the insiders are kind of in the mentions, as far as what that quote was. And I started seeing the name Derek Moore quite a bit. That's a freshman. Obviously a freshman is came in early and everything, and I heard he's been impressing. So, you never know. I think, that guy might, he might, assert himself, and you might kind of see who it is, later on into the season. I heard it could be Mike Morris potentially. He played a little bit last year and played pretty well. Harold played quite a bit. I think he had some big plays in the Ohio State game, and then also in the Big Ten championship game too. So I mean, it's just, it's gotta have to be by association, and hopefully we can have a couple guys to kind of assert themselves to be the top dogs on that D line or on the outside, and then the inside I'm not too nervous about because we do have some pretty good guys coming back this year that'll be able to fill in just fine there.
Yeah, no, so I agree. You gonna go through your list? You want me to hop over my number 5?
You go ahead and do 5.
Yeah. So right off rip, I'm staying on the same side of the ball as you. Moving back to the defensive backs here, and that's DJ Turner. I know he played a lot. Second half of last year, a younger player, and I know that he is coming in. He is ranked as one of I think it was 6 by College Football Reference or something. He's ranked like the 6th best. 8 returning freshman corner from last year. He had a great on-ball stoppage, and they said he was also one of the highest targeted players because he was being picked on a lot, being one of the younger guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with another year on his belt. Playing a lot as a freshman, really, if you can hold your own, and obviously you're going to get burned from time to time, look bad from time to time, but if you can take those growing pains as a freshman, 18-year-old, 1 year removed from playing a bunch of high school guys, just guys that are glad to be on the field, and you're playing at Michigan next year in Big Ten championship and holding your own, you're that's a lot to build on. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do this year. We're gonna have, like always, with the defensive line, I should say, not being probably where it typically is, we should really. We're gonna have to bank on some of these cornerbacks to step up. They're gonna have to cover a little longer. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I think just to kind of, I agree with all that. That was, I feel like we didn't lose as much production there as we did on the D line. But I mean, definitely, anytime you lose, I think I'm blanking on his name right now, number 20. That was like a 5th year, might have been a 5th year, 6th year guy last year.
Yeah.
Where's it, Brad? Oh, man, this is bad.
Hawkins?
Huh?
Hawkins?
Yes, Hawkins. Yeah, like good college player. Obviously having that experience, that's going to be key. Anytime you have a player of that caliber, just has that much experience on a team, always going to be important. And then one thing to kind of even add too, we do have some freshmen coming in. You got the guy Kian Saab that was flipped from Clemson, and then also Will Johnson. So it'll be interesting to see how much they get worked in, because I believe they also were early enrollees. So, you can kind of call them, I mean, they're almost like, like veterans compared to a lot of the other freshmen coming in.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, getting there in January and getting there in June or July is a major difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to have experience at a spring game and all that good additional playbook.
Right.
And just getting acclimated so much earlier, So
right.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Who's your next on the list?
Yeah, so moving on to number 4 on my list, the most important players for Michigan's football team this year. Got Andrew Anthony. I have him at 4th just because that receiver room is loaded.
Yep.
Well, they got, a lot of talent. You got Cornelius Johnson, Ronnie Bell, Roman Wilson. They're all Bell's going into his senior year. I believe Johnson is as well. Andrew Anthony, I mean, we saw what he did at MSU. He almost had like 200-something receiving yards, took a screen, 93.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and I heard, not knocking him, as happens as a freshman, but I just heard he might have had a little bit of trouble, grasping the playbook last year, which is why he didn't play as much. But, I mean, he still managed to have around, 450, 500 yards receiving and a few touchdowns. So I just think that a production, you got to hope that, he was getting the reps in over the winter. Hope he had a strong spring ball practice. So the hope has to be that he's going to be taking that next step. And I think, like I said, the guys I named that we have on the team along with him, for Michigan, we always know it's kind of like, just run the ball. When it comes to the passing game, the last few years has been a little suspect here and there. So I'm hoping that, he can take that next step and be able to, just help take the top off the defense here and there and just keep them honest to help, keep holes open for our running backs.
Yeah, no, the wide receiver room is loaded. They really are. So I'm hoping that is more of a strength of the team. Like you said, last year, and it was weird. Like we didn't have with Bell going down so early, we didn't have like the guy. That was kind of by committee last year. Certain players went off in their own games or their own right. Depending on the game or situation, or we just unloaded Anthony during Michigan State, and I believe he's from East Lansing. So I think that was probably intentional on his own, but just unloading him and that package, nobody expected that,
Right.
And that's the type of stuff I'm looking forward to. And obviously they're gonna, whenever he steps on the field now, they're gonna be keying in on him. You'd only do that one time before they know who you're going to take it.
Might get away with it. Maybe first couple weeks, but you're right.
No, they know by now. So no. So it'll be a little different for him, but I almost had him on my list. But so yeah, I agree. He was that close, but I'm going with a different guy in that same room.
Yeah, because I think they're loaded, but like when you look at him, like I do kind of feel like Roman Wilson's a little limited here and there. Cornelius Johnson is a little too, but like I mean, he's the way he played as a freshman.
Yeah, and
just impressive.
Oh my God, we are doing bad on names, but Mike or
Sanders Hill.
They moved him to DB as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so that shows you two things. He had his moments as well, but that shows you how loaded the wide receiver room could be, and maybe how much work they think the DBs might need. But that's interesting as well. So no, I agree. And just to keep it flowing here, my number 4 in the same room there is AJ Henny. And,
okay.
I think he had another interesting type package where they were moving him around, doing the end rounds or the like the option bubble type deals with him. And he's very explosive as well. And you heard Harbaugh talk about how he would potentially look forward to doing like a Deebo Samuel type role for him. So I'm excited to see just what he could carve out and put together as well. He I believe scored. He was the first touchdown, I believe, versus Ohio State, and it was one of those things where as soon as I seen the ball in his hands, I just felt good about it. We had, I feel good about it. We had seen that same, it was one of the things where I seen it all come together. I feel like we had set that play up for the last 3 or 4 games before that, and because he goes around that backside so often without getting the ball, and so he's gonna be excited to see what they do when they flip it to him a little more, or what he could put together as well. So that's who I have as my 4th player that if they can really step up and have, it'd be interesting to see, if he could have, let's say, a 500 and 500, or 500 and 300 maybe, something like that. That just get the ball in his hands. And I also would say, as we're talking about these type of players, we didn't put this on the docket, but which one of these guys, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but which one of these guys will rise to the cream of the crop as far as a return man? So I think we have a lot of explosive players, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be returning a handful of them this year. I think Anthony, Henny, Edwards. I think we have lots of players. I wouldn't want, Corum probably. I wouldn't want Bell, again. But any of those, keep them off of those. But any of the other players, it'd be exciting to see, what the return game could look like, because all of those guys are difference makers and real speed.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up AJ Henning, because I'm gonna be interested to see how the role is for him this year. And you're saying what if he kind of like a 500 and 300 type year? I think even that Ohio State game, he ended up having like 50 and 50. Mm-hmm. So if there's a way to kind of get him to average around like 70 to 75 yards a game, just get him in space. I'm sure they're going to have, quite a few things in play or planned, to use with a player like him. And then, of course, you got guys like Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and like I said, that whole loaded receiving room. I can't wait to just see how creative they get with using him. And I agree. I mean, that's somebody that, like I said, guys are going, people graduate, guys need to step up, and we'll see what he brings to the table for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree.
going down to my third guy. And I might butcher his name. Tackle that transfer from Virginia, or the center that transfer from Virginia, excuse me.
Tommy?
Olusegun Oluwatimi. So,
as good as I can get.
Yeah, I think, that's about
He's
the same.
Supposed to be.
Right, yeah. He's replacing, Bad Stardust was probably one of the best centers, if not the best center in college football last year. We know the center, that's the anchor for the offensive line. We're going to need him to, hopefully he stepped in, during the winter and was just, solidifying as being that leader of that, that offensive lineman room. I watched a little bit of the spring game a couple of days ago, so I can get called for a couple holding penalties. I know it's a spring game, but, stuff like that. So it's like, okay, he's on all these watch lists and everything. And, my hope is that he's able to just, slide in there. Our O-line is already pretty solid. I think we just have to kind of worry about the right tackle, filling that spot when Stuber, he left for the draft. But just really need this guy to, step in and, just take on that task of being the most important, in my opinion, one of the most important offensive linemen overall. Yeah.
No, so I couldn't agree more. And actually, as the guy, since I had 6 players, that's the guy I moved to my honorable mention. And so, no, I agree with you. One of the most sought-after graduate transfers in the nation. And, I looked at the list of that teams that wanted him for the transfer. It was practically name your school. Who doesn't want a top 5, top 6 center in all of college football?
Yeah.
And he was the ACC Offensive Lineman of the Year last year. So, and I read some stuff on him that recently that when he came in, he didn't come in with, they always say this and it sounds good, but when he came in, he didn't come in with I'm a starting center automatically. And, he bought into having to work and play his role, and he quickly rose to the top. And so I imagine, hopefully he's a beacon of light on the line as far as, a fifth year senior come in, just hold it down. And like you said, hopefully that type of stuff is an anomaly as far as holding penalties, and he can just come in and be consistent, like a fifth year senior should be.
Yep. Yeah, so I agree. Yeah, it's he just got to come in and just do it.
Yep.
And I think that's gonna be key. Just I imagine our rushing attack to be pretty lethal this year, and that was a hole that I'm glad we were able to fill, and hopefully he can kind of anchor that O-line and just be as successful this year as they were last year.
Right. No, I agree. So my next player here, going down the list here, is going to be you mentioned defensive line here, and that's going to be Mike Morris. So I rose him to the top. That's the guy that I think, just seeing how much he played last year, seeing some of the plays he had an interception, a couple of tackles for loss, I think 1 sack or half a sack. Getting able to get any type of stats or any type of, here there wasn't much playing time to go around when you had 2 first-round picks. So, for him to even have anything in that stat category as a freshman shows that, he was, something special, or could be something special. So that's the one player that I'm looking for that could step up, could be the guy that, you say maybe one of them has 8 sacks, pushes near that 10 mark, and that'd be him. And then after that, that's the next guy in line as far as, Winovich, Rashawn Gary. Mm-hmm. And then, he'll fall right in line with there and be hopefully a top pick. But that's the guy. This was the season that happens for him, where he separates himself. So that's who I have next. And we're going to have, there's no scarcity. We're going to have a lot of production from that defensive line to have the type of season we had. It wasn't having 2. Obviously Ajabo went down, but having 2 first-round picks, basically, the defensive line, and winning the Big 10 championship, I think is, very correlated.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Just with football, like college football, NFL as a whole. These teams want to come out, they want to throw the ball all over the place. So you got to be able to, in the line of scrimmage, I mean, that's where games are won and lost. So, we definitely need to be able to assert ourselves on that side of things. And I've kind of already kind of dubbed us as like the defensive end university. I mean, and they might not always be first rounders. You got guys like Frank Clark, you said Winovich, Rashawn. I've heard Rashawn Gary's having one of the best. Like they're ready for him to like explode this year up there in Green Bay. You got quite a few guys that.
I mean, you can take that way back. I mean, there's always been, I'm drawing a blank on my man's name. He played for the Steelers, from Michigan, went to Michigan, but my man, regardless, he used to host football camp. I can't think of his name right now, but regardless,
Lamar Woodley.
Yep, Woodley. I can't believe I forgot that. But so you go back. That's 20 years, dating 20 years back by now. Yeah. And so always having players in the mix. Taco Charlton had a mix for a while. Players that find a way. So no, I agree. That's definitely one of our flags, strong points.
Yeah, and I think and the list is, like I said, list is long. I mean, I could rattle off a couple more guys here, but we'll continue to move forward. But yeah, that's huge. That's probably overall. I'm pretty nervous about what that D line is going to look like. And that's why I just hope there's not a set guy that we can kind of put on his shoulder, put it on their shoulders, kind of lead the pack. But hopefully that guy, they come out of they assert themselves and they kind of rise to the top over the first couple weeks of the season. So, but yeah, my next most important football player, I mean, these are they're pretty much the same person at this point. I'm just to not stress myself out. Whoever starts at quarterback, I ain't gonna be mad about it unless one of them is not doing what they need to do. So, I mean, McCarthy, McNamara, I think they're, whoever it is, one of the most important players. I know a lot of people, McNamara, he doesn't have all the physical tools, but man, I mean, he's 15-2, something like that. Or his record, got a pretty impressive record, 12-2, 13-2, something like that. So you can't really deny that he's just been able to show up and, do what he needs to do, not turn the ball over. But on the flip side of that, he only threw 15 touchdowns. You got, J.J. McCarthy that played 25 to 30% of snaps last year and accounted for 7. Now, granted, we know how some of that was in garbage time here and there, but still, I mean, the arm talent is there, electric talent. Whoever's going to be, shouldering that load or, leading that offense, they got to be on their game to just make up for, we're going to have, some freshmen in here and there, some holes to fill, overall, just people graduating. And like I said, whoever I'm content with whoever they decide to run out there until further notice. So I'm not, I won't stress myself out in, early August about who's going to be the guy, but I will say whoever ends up being the guy is going to be the most important, second most important person on my list for Michigan next year.
Yeah, no. So I agree. And, I'm not going to actually mention too much on this one because one of them guys are my number one player. So,
okay.
I mentioned on that. So just moving forward here, my next player, back to the offensive side of the ball, a player that, really had – it would have been exciting to see what our offense would have looked like if he didn't go down in week 1 versus Michigan, and that's Ronnie Bell. I know
he wouldn't have went down.
Yep. Yeah. Two receivers on here, but I do think that's that they both are worthy for different. He's obviously not going to be he's not going to be in the backfield. He's not going to be doing that type of stuff like AJ Henning. So, but just Ronnie Bell, I'm just looking for him to come out, have a good, solid year, work his way into getting drafted. I think he deserves it. He's been a good player for us. Always seem, dealing with all these quarterback issues and getting injured and just, so I think if he comes out and have a good year, blows the top off the defense, keeps them safeties out of the box, every couple of games, catch a 50, 60-yard bomb, touchdown, but just play some good receiver ball. I think that's what we were kind of missing last year was just that number one guy, and he is a real number one in college football. He'd be number one on most Big Ten teams.
Yep.
And so I think that's what we were missing. And so that's a quarterback's best friend when you have a guy. And you see what he did in week 1. You seen what he did with bad play in previous years, when he was a younger player. So I think
Yeah.
he
I was going to say, too, like back when we had, I'm once again blanking on Nico Collins, Tariq Black, now People Jones. I mean, Bell was like, third, fourth option in some of them situations and was still – he outplayed Tariq Black, in my opinion, while Tariq Black was there and just, in some situations overall had some better numbers than People Jones. People, who's banged up a little bit and stuff. So he's been a bright spot for a little bit, so now it's like it's really his time to shine.
Right. So hopefully he can stay healthy, get out there. And I'm hoping for a good year for him. I don't want to put a numbers total out there, but if he could, obviously for every receiver you want us to clip, it's that 1,000 yards, but if he could have just a good, solid year,
700-800, something,
700, 6, 7, 8, 9 tubs, whatever that looks like, 30, 40, 50 balls. I think that's what I'm looking for him, just being our true number one and separate yourself and go and get drafted. Yeah.
I say this jokingly because we're gonna be pounding that rock, but we might have had a 1,000-yard receiver since Braylon, just because of how quarterback play has been a little.
It'd be funny to look it up. I really couldn't tell you. I feel like some of the people had to, but you could be right.
Yeah, there's times where Collins, I would have thought he would have got to 1,000, but like you said, it's inconsistent quarterback play. Coach. A lot of things go into it, right?
You probably telling the truth when we ain't have received a quarterback pass for 2,000 yards.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
No, you're probably telling the truth. That sounds a little crazy, but no. So he's go out and play some good football, and I think he can still get drafted. He can still, and it starts with just separating yourself and being that number one for us.
Yeah, and just to for people in the comments potentially, Junior Hemingway, I think he went over 1,000. Roundtree might have went over 1,000 here or there, maybe. I'm kind of just blowing smoke here. Some guys I'm thinking about that are kind of popping to my mind that probably went over 1,000 between then and now. But that, I might not be as far off as as I say either with that. So, But for me, now we get to the number one most important player in my eyes, Blake Corum. I think we go as he goes, honestly, this year. I am just going to be curious to see. I'm just curious to see how this run game is going to look. Because I don't know if they're going to be able to do double tight, full back with him and try to have him run between the tackles on third and short, things along those lines like we did. Part of me thinks that we're going to be moving. I think his name is Khalil Mullins. He plays linebacker. He's a junior. I think we might be trying to move him to offense, just kind of give them a little more, beef, in the backfield as far as just, some players that can, it's more like power backs, just more like physicality.
Yeah,
not to say that Corum can't, he can't, but like.
And they're thinking, damn, it worked with Haskins.
Right. Like Haskins was literally playing linebacker, and this dude started lining up in a wildcat in the red zone, and you're like, what's going on? And then they just it kept working, they kept doing it, which was great. And I could also be far off with that guy Khalil Mullins. He was running the ball in the spring game quite a bit, so you just never know with Harbaugh. He's going to put athletes where he thinks they can help the team, and a linebacking core is pretty strong already, so it might be one of those things. But anyways, just getting off kilter there now, or getting off track a little bit. But yeah, I think Corum goes as we go. I think we need him to have 12, 13, 1,400 all-purpose yards, 10, 12 touchdowns. He's got to have a dominant year. For us to do what we need to do. It'll be interesting to see, what Donovan Edwards does as well. Because I do feel like he's obviously going to be pretty important to the offense. As a freshman last year, he casually ran for a touchdown, threw for one, and caught like a 60-yarder. So we'll see what they kind of got up their sleeves for him too. But yeah, I'm just that run game, man. It was nothing like just seeing Haskins be able to kind of hold things down, even when Corum kind of got hurt, and just be able to like you just knew 3rd and 2 was gonna be a first down, 4th and 1 was gonna be a first down, 3rd and 3 was gonna be a first down. Like you knew he was gonna get the hard yards and the tough yards, and we'll see what happens. I just don't think that Corum can run the ball 20 to 25 times without starting to that wear and tear starting to show weeks 8, 9, 10, 11 into the season. So.
No, it would be very interesting to see because, we can't. It's undeniable how reliable Haskins was. Just turn and give him the ball, and good things will happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really was the truth. And the offensive line was moving people. They were, uh, clearing holes, all year. So it just is, and that was a good 1-2 punch combination. So I don't know if the lightning can work without the thunder as well, but it's going to be interesting to see. But I think that'd kind of be maybe a little bit kind of by committee as well. Yeah, obviously Corum should get probably the lot, but I think between Edwards and maybe what they're trying to do with JJ McCarthy, and I think you could see how they could try to figure out a way to get to like 28, 30 carries and not have him have 25. Yeah, you could keep him in the upper teens somewhere, give Edwards, 8 to 12, and then, however many runs with JJ or, option type plays. And so no, I do think, but he definitely, I mean, I can't deny that as well. If he has 1,500 yards or 1,400 yards, you can say to me right now, if he has 1,500 yards, I bet you win the Big Ten championship. So I think that's safe to say. If he so a lot does riding on what he can put together.
Right.
And he was explosive. I mean, I wouldn't put it past. Whether he can get the hard yards or not is the biggest question. But I can't put it past him that he, exciting things happen when he has the ball in his hands.
Absolutely. Like, it's just a durability thing, and we'll see if he can kind of, he can handle that.
At one point, we had like 2 of the top 10 highest ranked running backs in the country before he went down. So
I think they both got to 1,000. He might have been more around 900 or something.
I think he was just shy. Yeah, but if he would have went down for like 2 or 3 games, definitely would have got there. So so do that again, or plus a little more. I think we're headed a good thing. And I kind of took this. I guess we should have said this at the beginning. I kind of took this as like, I guess I did say it, but this is things that would happen in order to get us in the Big Ten championship type game. That's how I'm looking for all these players. If they're stepping up at high calibers, that's what the success would look like. He has 1,200 yards, or Bell goes for 1,200 yards or something, and we're at 8-4. It don't really matter.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if I didn't necessarily say that at the beginning. But that's just true. So my number one player, so I was going to get into it. I was starting to move him up, but he is still my number one. And you said you weren't ready to name a starting quarterback. And I think if we're ready to really make this happen, it probably has to be JJ. I think that's the real move. If this thing is firing and we win the Big Ten again, and we're talking about making it to the championship game, it's probably I imagine that's probably going to be with JJ. I hate to say it, I still preface this the way I did before. But you rolling with him the first 2 or 3 games, a couple teams we should be able to beat, even if with a couple picks, even with a costly fumble, even with whatever, we should still be able to get out unscathed. But if he's not looking good, and I mean clean,
right,
1 interception with 6, 7, 8, 9 touchdowns by week 3.
You better have a ball all season long.
No fumbles.
Yeah.
I want to pull the plug. If he and put Cade in with enough time to get his legs a little wet before we start seeing Big Ten ball.
Yep.
And that's how I would play that. This is a business, and you should be. If you are who you say you are, you should be ready to play. This is I hate to say that, and he probably, I would imagine, will feel the same way. Put me in there to let me see if I can do it, and if I can't, then we'll see what else from there. But I think Cade is probably the safer bet, but you don't always, get the championship or get to another Big Ten championship playing it safe.
That's true.
And I think, he played it very clean last year, but he also, there was a time or two, he got a little, when he thought he was like, Peyton Manning or something, and after he went down the field on Ohio State and threw that pick right down the field after that, and that when I know that you're not do that many touchdown passes, those interceptions from you are that much more costly.
That's true.
There is a little bit to that as well, but I think with the weapons we have, with how all of it's playing out, with Corum being the back, with all that, it works with JJ best.
Yeah.
He's my number one player. That if he comes to play this year, and you know, just put together good quarterback play. Be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten, in that upper bunch near Stroud, near up in that that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
hitting them upper 20s. Average 2 touchdowns a game. We play 13. You better be at 26 touchdowns.
Yeah.
7 picks.
Yeah. I agree, and I think, and I'm with you, man. I just, as long as Harbaugh is, got to say. I mean, he's gonna just. I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to do the same thing they did last year. It's probably more 50-50, and then whoever's playing the best in the halftime takes it home for us or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's where I'm just kind of at peace with it because it worked out well last year. But I agree.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But.
Right. And how conservative he can be on offense at times. But I'm with you, though. Like, our offense kind of hit that next level. If we want to get the most out of Anthony and, Bell and, even Henning, like, I think we got to, put that shot in the arm. I mean, put him at quarterback and kind of let him do his thing. And like you said, work through the mistakes. Now they're egregious. You got to sit them down, of course. But, like, work through, might throw a couple picks in one game and be able to, get away unscathed just because of who it was or whatever that kind of looks like. Like, we just got to kind of continue to see that development from him to just understand ball security and just how important that is.
100%. And if you're going to be where you want to be, which is in the Bama conversation, in the Clemson conversation, I hate to say it, in the Ohio conversation, consistently, you're going to have to do offense and defense very well.
Yep.
There is no more of the days where, hey, we can put up 50, but we can't stop nobody. And there ain't no more of the times where, hey, we know you ain't gonna get 2 field goals, we gonna get 1 touchdown. There's no more of those type of those teams. It's just the offense is too good or defense is too good or something happens where you need to play well at all aspects of the game. We've seen what it was like, and this is just being real to ourselves. We've seen what it was like. Georgia is known as a bad offensive team in the SEC, and they look pretty fine versus us, and we couldn't put up the points for us. I mean, we were supposed to have a pretty solid offense. So that just shows that you have to really put up them. You have to be able to score 42 points versus the big boys. You have to be able to, the days of 30 ain't getting it cut no more. You got to be able to hit them 40s versus the teams that matters.
Go toe to toe. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I guess that'll kind of segue into just, what we're going to chat about a little bit here before wrapping things up. I mean, looking at this team coming like our start.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, man.
Can you hear me?
I got you now.
Cool.
Yeah, so I missed what you said. I'll be doing strengths and weaknesses. So, no.
Yes, we can. I was just asking about just couple strengths, from the team overall, just from like a position standpoint, or like as far as this team.
Yeah, so I'm, and this is obviously we don't know. I'm hoping that the O-line is a strength of the team again. Yeah. I think they won best offensive line in the country last year, whatever that award is. And so that's what I'm hoping for. That we can have. They don't necessarily got to win that award again, but just a dominating offensive line. We got the Virginia transfer. We really. I mean, we had a couple of returning starters on a great O-line from last year. So I just imagine if we can build on that, plugged in one of the better offensive linemen within the country. So I'm hoping that they can come to play again, and and we can lean on them as an anchor of the squad.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think for me, obviously the offense is probably the strongest part of the team overall. Might sound kind of crazy, but I mean, we only lost, starting center, right tackle, running back. I mean, you're usually able to kind of reload at running back pretty easily. Not to say we're not going to miss Haskins and just like the way he ran, but like that receiver room looks crazy. The running back room still look crazy. Quarterback room, I'm fine with the quarterback room. It's just a matter of, how they're going to kind of do things that kind of got me – I'm at peace. But tight ends, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like all across the board, hopefully we're able to address the need at tackle, and, the need at center should be handled and taken care of at this point. So, yeah, what would you say are like the weak points in your opinion as far as just this team overall?
Yeah, so weak points, biggest question marks. I would say, you questioned on it, and the first off, which was the defensive line.
Yeah.
I do think there are a lot of questions there. There are a lot of to be determined. It's kind of, which we've mentioned a lot. I don't want to beat that horse, but just how that's unusual for Michigan. But so that's gonna be a question to me. And then, in all honesty, what them quarterbacks look like.
Yeah.
Those be 1A and 1B for me. What's the deal? Is D line fiery, and is the quarterbacks able to, not only manage us, but have us lean on into them from time to time, and them maybe we win because of them sometimes, not just despite them. So can we trust you to go down the field if we need this 2 minutes right for the half in the big game? Can you go ahead and just get we don't need a field goal. Can you get a touchdown here?
Right.
Those type of questions I just think I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I'm hoping that obviously like every year, I'm hoping we come out and just start beating the shit out of people and make me put some of these question marks down. How skeptical we both were last year. We didn't believe until every week we said when they beat Washington, we're going to believe. Well, maybe Wisconsin, we're going to believe. When they
believe until week 12. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm being real. I mean, that's like the standard, right? So, like,
yeah. I mean, I believe. We being honest, I had belief until we went and lost the state, and then got my heart ripped out, and then they came together strong the last month of November. Had a great November, and and so that's the type of persistence we need overall. But I think biggest question, if that old line is solid, we got the receivers, we obviously got some solid backs. That quarterback is the question mark.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, my weak points would be, I'd probably say D-line, maybe even secondary. Secondary always tends to just kind of have a little bit of inconsistency across the board, but I do like you said, we got Rod Moore coming back, got DJ Turner coming back, so got to hope one of these freshmen step in and pop off immediately. I mean, they 4 stars and 5 stars for a reason, so we got to imagine that they're going to get some decent run. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he got hurt. I mean, nothing against DJ Turner, but when he got hurt, that's when DJ Turner stepped in.
Yeah. I forgot his name too, to be honest, but yes.
Yeah, but like that's so hopefully maybe they can just work him in, in that other corner spot, and just kind of keep things rolling as far as just that side of things. But even linebacking crew. I mean, there's maybe a couple question marks here and there, but if I'm not mistaken, I feel like quite a few of our guys that were there last year were like, Junior Colston, freshman.
Junior Colston, yeah, that's the biggest one that like.
Green, he was or not Nikhil. Is it Nikhil Green? Bad on the names. We'll get better as the season goes on. But
he's on a long basketball time. We got filled. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we still getting warmed up on the football side of the house. But
Colston is I know he. What's what I'm looking for? He's kind of stepping in. They want him to step into that Josh Ross role where he's kind of running the defense, the quarterback of the defense. So of him even being mentored last year by a fifth-year senior. I'm expecting big things from him as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would think, overall, it kind of seems, the defense, there are some question marks, but I'm at ease just because we got a D-line coach that's probably one of the best in the country. It sucks losing Mike McDonald, but we were able to fill in with a, defensive coordinator from Vanderbilt that has, I believe, a little bit of NFL pedigree or, I heard that transition was going to be a lot smoother than what they thought it was. McDonald ended up leaving. So, yeah, I just hope overall I just kind of put a button on it here. Had a lot of adversity in the offseason. That kind of happens when Harbaugh is your head coach. We hope that he was able to kind of reel everybody back in. And, the hope is to be, more than prepared in these next few weeks. And, yeah, hopefully they're ready to rise to the occasion this year and do what they did last year.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for football. Obviously, we've been riding high in basketball, but I mean, football is still king. So
Absolutely.
I'm going crazy over here.
Yeah. But the young fella heard me say putting a button in it, and he said it's time for dinner or something. So.
All right, we appreciate you tuning in. Football heavy from now on.
Yep.
It should be good to see. That's all we
Yep.
got.